On today's video, let's go over the free-to-play jumper one last time. That is right, in this video, let's talk about what's going on in 904, what is going on with this account, how I have failed you guys with this account, what are my thoughts about it, what are things I learned out of creating a free-to-play jumper account, and what is the fate of it in the upcoming weeks. So sit back, drop a like on the video. Hey there YouTube, welcome back to Gekko Gaming. What can I say? I think this is the end of the free-to-play jumper. Before we start though, I'm a sponsored content creator by Rise of Kingdoms, and if you enjoy the content, consider liking the video, and of course, hit the subscribe button. Turn on the bell to get a notification for brand new videos coming out every single day. We stream twice a week, we cover wars, we cover strategy, everything along the way for you guys to have the best experience in Rise of Kingdoms. Alright, let's go backwards a little bit in time for some context. And before we even begin with all of everything, I need to say that Kingdom 904 is a great kingdom. It doesn't mean this is a bad kingdom. It doesn't mean there's bad people in it. It doesn't mean it's not a great kingdom to be allied with in KVK. It doesn't mean it's not a great kingdom to fight against in KVK. It's a good kingdom. These guys have a lot going for them. And that's primarily because of what happened in the past, right? So when I said I want to make a new jumper account, the idea behind the new jumper account was to create a new account that would be one that would go through the early game with you guys, and we could kind of talk about the process of starting a new account, of growing and all that stuff, right? I very quickly realized what big of a mistake it was, because realistically, there's not that much content at the lower levels of the account. You just plow through it as much as you can. You gather when you have resources, you build. That's pretty much it. If you follow along all the way to City Hall 22, pretty much, that's when things start getting a little bit more interesting in terms of slowing down and which commanders to work on and things like that. I gained a decent amount of commander sculptures. I have even Sun Tzu expertised. We were working towards other commanders. We have 57 epic sculptures to work on extra commanders, which ones are the better ones for you to start off with. And all that kind of content was in the making. But then things took a weird turn. When I created this jumper, I was essentially trying to join a jumper group, a group of folks who are going to build a kingdom together. And I randomly ran into someone in my Discord posting about a jumper group. By the way, if you guys have a jumper group and you want to either find one or post an ad for your own, link in the description down below to my Discord. There's a jumpers ad room. That's all for that. With that being said, I found a group that was led by two individuals that are ex-Kingdom 196 folks, and both of them went through the struggles that we went through in Kingdom 196 and kind of learned out of it, and they both had a vision on what they wanted to do and how they wanted to do it and all that good stuff along the way. And it seemed to me that they essentially knew what they were doing out of learning from the mistakes in Kingdom 196. Wow, that was abysmal. And they built a team. They built a team that migrated, I think, like 600 people, if not more, maybe less. I don't know. Migrated a lot of people. They built like 5 alliances or 6 alliances. They went through the process of dividing people into alliances, setting up R5s for alliances, creating the groups. Like, folks joined each other, kind of like, you know, if you're friends and stuff like that, you want to play together. So people joined each other and kind of were like, I need to adjust the camera really quickly, sorry. And there was kind of like a team being built, right? Which was cool. It was great. And then came the kingdom and we jumped into it and the organization started. And I mean, running a 900-person organization is no joke. And it fell on the shoulders of 2 people. And these 2 people, on top of being in charge of this big group and organizing it and building it out to what it was up until a couple of weeks ago, they also have lives and they also have things to do, which kept them a bit busy. As time went on, the map was divvied out. There is areas and sections for every one of these syndicates. There are syndicates that are dominant syndicates in every part of the map. There are some bigger boys, some smaller people, everything along the way, right? So at this stage, it was like, it was time to go into zone 3. It was time to figure out what's going on, what are the rules. And as time went on, communication became an issue. Folks demanded quicker actions and responses to plans and sharing the plans further. And tension started building up. Tension started building up to the point where a couple of weeks ago, I believe, the leadership, well, the two people who really, I will call them the king and queen of the group, we'll call them, created a council where they took the advice and discussed with leaders and R5s and all that of all the kingdoms. And then the council decided that the king and queen just are not good enough, I guess, or they don't trust them, or I don't know what the heck happened there. And so the council voted to move from being led by two people to being led by a council, which is composed out of the bigger alliances, right? But at the same time, the composition of it is a bit iffy as far as I'm concerned. And so here comes the pickle, right? As a free-to-play account, I don't have that many outs. If this goes bad, it's all out the window. And I don't want to dedicate more time into an account where I see a potential where this will go from bad to worst very quickly. And it did. There was a few moments where farming in zone 3 wasn't safe, and almost we went into a civil war. And there was crazy time. There was madness, there was rage, people upset, people's egos getting hurt, people's egos needing to be scratched, people messing up. It was a big mess. And at the end of it, it was decided that there is a council and we'll do what we can. One of the two people that ran the group kind of just said, screw it, and bailed. And while he did that, he also kind of destroyed the Discord that was for the group. There's a big mess, right? And so that was essentially the last straw that broke the camel's back. It wasn't the only straw. It was definitely the last one. I just don't see myself in a kingdom where I am going to spend a huge amount of time building up an account that is completely free to play and that's complete grind and work and all that. And then, next time these guys will need to itch another ego hit or distrust someone for this or other reason, we'll go into a civil war, and then all the time and effort goes down the drain. I'm not a big fan of that idea at all. I understand how people go through this, by the way, and I understand how devastating it can be to players who can whose first account is this, and then what do? I spent all of my time, and now all this goes down the drain. I don't think there is anyone to blame as an individual. We have a lot of big boys in here, like a tier 5 player already, and a bunch of others on their way there. There's good alliances in here, but I just don't think that it was okay to essentially oust and discrown the two individuals who made this kingdom happen 48 days into the kingdom. These guys spent probably a longer period than that building this team and trying to come up with methods and procedures and how to divide the kingdom and all that stuff. And because of people wanting things to move in a different pace, it's just so everything these guys did before doesn't count? Does that mean that because you how do you distrust someone 48 days in when we haven't even gotten to zone 3 yet? We're in zone 3 now, but back then we weren't even in zone 3. The main argument happened when a decision had to be made because we need to start building towards zone 3 and who builds where and why. The bottom line is there's a lot of situations in here which the alliance that I'm in particular, which is the Shadow Syndicate, who's currently the 3rd alliance, is seeing more ramifications of than the other alliances in here. I don't know what the future holds for anyone in this group, but for me, this is pretty much the end. I need to go back now a little bit and tell you guys where I messed up, because I messed up big time. We're 48 days into this account, and it's barely City Hall 20, and it's not even 21 yet or building because we're resource depleted. I underestimated the amount of time that it takes and the dedication it takes in the early game to keep up with an account. When you are a City Hall 25, max commanders, epic commanders, like max gathering commanders, you got level 6 nodes and all that good stuff, it's really easy to keep up. You build once a day troops to the top. You gather every few hours. Cool. But at the lower levels, it becomes like every 20 minutes, every half an hour, every couple of hours. And it became a situation where I wasn't keeping up with this account enough. At 48 days, you probably can definitely get past City Hall 21, start getting even your tier 4s already, not tier 5s, but tier 4s. As a free-to-play player, I feel like that is a doable situation if you know what you're doing. But the main issue is just gathering, right? And I did try to kind of overcome that by training more sieges than anything else. So we have a decent amount of sieges to go gather. And this was there way before we started doing all of these. And so it became a really bad time because I'm falling behind in trying to make content about a free-to-play account, which I'm not putting into it enough time. So that's where I failed you guys first. And the second place that I failed you guys first is that because I didn't have time, I didn't also do all the optimizations that I wanted to do. So if we go take a quick peek at zone 1, I do have a farm in this kingdom. And the plan was always for the farm to grow kind of at the same pace as the big account, because at the end of the day, it's the same stuff except for when you start needing speed ups, and that's about that. And so if we go take a quick peek somewhere back here, I think it's sitting somewhere in here. We do have a farm account that is available for gathering, and it has gathered for a substantial amount of time. It's even City Hall 12 and all that good stuff. But the way things worked out, this account stayed here, the big account went that way, neither had teleports, and then we got stuck because there's a decent amount of resources that we can use in here on that account, but they're far from each other. So now what do you do? It was a big mess. I got ambitious. I wanted to do something that's more than the time that I have allows me to do. And I failed. I definitely did. I don't think I have the time to build an account from zero as a free-to-play account. Maybe one day I will have the time and I will be able to dedicate more time into content in terms of like the day-to-day stuff. Right now I work, like I'm at work right now. This is the path to get into work. This is my lunch break. I essentially do videos in my lunch break to just try to keep up with everything. And this account was way too much for me. And it kind of sucks. It really does suck because I really wanted to try to get through the free-to-play aspect of the game. And if I was able to just get through this hurdle to a point where we're training troops now at like 12-hour, 10-hour intervals, this is a little bit easier. When we can start gathering at 3 to 4 hour intervals, that would make things a little bit easier. But even like grinding to get this event to 25 was impossible because not only of the levels of researches and how long it took, but it was just I needed to keep up with this account and 2 other accounts, which was just impossible. If this wasn't a free-to-play account, it probably would be easier. I'd have the speed ups and resources to make up for the time that I don't spend in-game, which would balance things out. I could probably progress much quicker in the early game, which would then allow me to take much more time off the game earlier. So yeah, that's where we stand. Is this the end of this account? I'm not so sure just yet. For now, it's just going to sit here. I need to figure out what I'm doing with it, and I need to figure out whether I want to stay in 904 and whether I want to stay with this crew and who's going where, and if people are migrating, if they are where, if there aren't, then what, and go from there. I did meet a ton of awesome people in 904, and 904 has a crazy awesome community. There were some debacles along the way and some fights along the way and all that, but that's part of the game, right? That's part of what we come to expect out of having multiple individuals with multiple levels of spending, of cultures, of backgrounds in the game, and so forth and so on. So I don't have any bad feelings towards anyone. I don't have anything bad to say about 904. If you're planning to migrate to a 904, I don't think that's a bad idea. They definitely have the power they need, and I see a lot of new world bundles, but they definitely have the power they need to potentially take their first KVK. They're building up and they're ramping up, and this is just the beginning. We're like a month and a half away, and there's already a tier 5 in here. There's a few others very on their way there. I'm guessing that once Mightiest Governor starts ramping up, we see some Charles Martels coming out and things like that. Folks will spend further and grow further and get to those tier 5s. So this is going to be a really interesting kingdom to keep an eye on. I might still keep an eye on it for their first KVK and kind of try to get some content in this kingdom with these guys, because that's the least I can do. There's a really good crew in here. But I messed up. I don't have the time. And then add to that the tensions within how this kingdom is ran and all that. That just tells me that it's not worth it for me to put the extra effort to try to find more time, when realistically this could implode at any moment, and then all that time goes out the window. That's how I see it though, but what do you guys think? Leave me a comment down below. Should I still stick with this account even if it's at a lesser of a pace? Should I keep up with trying to maintain this free-to-play, more extreme casual account? What do you guys like to see? Leave me a comment down below and let me know. We can maintain this account and continue to work through it, but it'll be on a much more casual level, much slower growth. I mean, I know people who've been playing this game for longer than I have in here, like 80+ days, and are nowhere near this because they're super casuals. Would you like to see a super casual free-to-play account, or do you think it's not worth the time? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm Gekko. I'm out of here. Appreciate every single one of you. Drop the like on the videos, subscribe to the channel, and thank you to 904 for the great time. I'll see you guys sooner rather than later. Take care. Peace.